Tonight at 10, after 31 years, a Spartanburg County family finally has some answers. The sheriff confirming today DNA taken decades ago revealed who killed their loved one. And get this, it turns out that killer lived in their neighborhood for years. James Smith was attacked while walking into his Pauline home back in 1988. He was assaulted and then died after being in a coma for several months.
Fox Carolina's Kayla Conboy joins us live outside of the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office tonight with more on this story.
That's exactly right. Initially, this came in as a burglary call back in 1988, as you just mentioned, but it ended up being a much more disturbing case than that. The sheriff does tell us that James had a fiance and that she was also tied up, beaten. And this afternoon, the sheriff saying she's lucky to be alive.
Today, the Smith family is feeling a different kind of heartbreak. For 31 long years, they lived every day knowing James was tragically beaten to death. And today, in some ways, they have even deeper wounds, looking at the face of the man who deputies say did it.
Why did he feel like he had to so viciously beat my brother?
That's a question he has for Roger Switzer, the man Sheriff Chuck Wright says committed the crime. But he'll never get a chance to ask it because Switzer died back in 2008. And while he's not alive, having a name and a face helps this family find some closure.
Obviously relieved to know that we finally know what happened. I lost my sister several years ago to cancer and lost my mother a few years ago. I wish they, would have known before we lost them who had done this.
Jerry Smith says James was his older brother, and he remembers so vividly jumping in the car the day their family got a phone call from the sheriff's office.
I heard over the radio that they were transporting someone from that residence to the hospital. So I just stopped or turned and went to the hospital instead. I actually was in the emergency room when they brought my brother in, and he was beaten so bad they brought him right by me, and I did not even recognize my own brother.
He was in a coma and never regained consciousness. Deputies say his fiancée was also beaten with a hammer when she arrived home and was sexually assaulted.
Something was put over her head and she was assaulted on several occasions. She was actually taken to the basement and tied up while he went to assault Mr. Smith. And she was able to free herself, and a good Samaritan, by God's grace, picked her up.
The sheriff says new DNA technology finally linked Switzer to the crime, and now that they have answers, the Smith family can finally focus on the good memories.
He was my fishing partner and my hunting partner. We did a lot together.
Now, Jerry says he would go to the hospital every single day to visit his brother, wanting to make sure he knew he was loved. But the big question here now is why? What is the motive? And the sheriff tells us he's not sure if they will ever find out if there was a motive because Switzer is dead. But right now, he says they don't believe he was linked to any other crimes. Reporting live in Spartanburg County, Kayla Conboy, Fox Carolina, the 10 o'clock news.
Kayla, thanks so much. Well, it's official.